Before we dive in, let me tell you something super interesting. Do you know that the two most searched topics on YouTube right now for high achieving women are burnout and how to set boundaries without feeling guilty? And that's not a coincidence because these two things, they're cause and effect. You think you're burned out from working too hard, from the long hours, the endless to-do list, the constant demands, but that's not what's burning you out. What's burning you out is the self-betrayal. Every time you say yes when you really mean no, every time you abandon your boundaries, every time you put everyone else first and yourself last, that's what's draining you. And it's energetically expensive in a way that physical work never could be. I'm Patty Ferreira, and today I'm showing you the real reason you're burned out and why rest won't fix it. Here's how you know it's not about the hours. You know it's not about overwork when you try everything to fix the physical exhaustion and nothing works. Let me tell you about one of my clients. She came to me to do her mindset work and her strategy work. But she also had chronic back pain, neck and shoulder pain that wouldn't go away. She'd left her mattress, started sleeping on harder surfaces. She thought that would help. She was on chronic pain medication, and the pain, it wasn't going away. If anything, it was getting worse. She'd tried rest, she tried medication, she tried physical therapy, but here's what she wasn't seeing. Her body wasn't tired. Her body was rejecting the life she was living. The pain wasn't from overwork. It was from self-betrayal. And no amount of rest fixes what misalignment broke. Here's the other way you know it's not about the hours. You achieve everything you set out to achieve and it lands empty. You hit the milestones, you get the recognition, you close the deal, you reach the goal, and you feel nothing because it wasn't hitting the target of fulfillment or satisfaction or joy or freedom. It was hitting someone else's definition of success. And when that happens, when the achievement feels hollow, you realize this isn't a work problem. This is an alignment problem. So let me tell you what self-betrayal really looks like, because it's deeper than just saying yes when you mean no. Self-betrayal is when you get so good at adapting to others that you lose yourself. Let me tell you a story about me. For most of my career, I was exceptional at one thing, and that was going along to get along. I could read the room, I could adjust to overcome, I could contort myself to fit whatever was needed. I adapted to get results at any means, and I got really good at it. So good that I stopped knowing who I actually was. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what brought me joy, and all I was seeking was recognition, achievement, validation, and being needed. Those were the only feedback loops I had. And one day I hit all the milestones. I got the recognition and the validation, and it still felt empty because I realized I don't even know if this is what I want, or if it's just what I thought I wanted. That's identity erasure, and it happens slowly. You adapt, you perform, you deliver, and piece by piece you disappear until one day you look in the mirror and you don't recognize the person looking back at you. Let me give you some examples of what this actually looks like in real life. Someone asks you, where do you want to eat? And your first thought isn't what you really want. It's where would they want to eat? You literally don't know your own preference because you've trained yourself to scan others first. Or you look at your calendar. Every single commitment serves someone else. every meeting, every event, every task. When was the last time you did something just because you wanted to? Not because it was productive, not because it served a goal, just because it brought you joy. You can't remember, can you? Here's another one. You achieve something big and people congratulate you and you feel nothing. Not pride, not excitement, just emptiness. Because you don't even know if this is what you wanted or if you've been chasing someone else's dream this whole time. Or this. You're in a meeting, you're performing, saying the right things, adapting to the room, and you catch yourself thinking, who is this person? The performance is so automatic, you don't recognize yourself anymore. And here's the hardest one. Sit down right now and ask yourself, what brings me joy? And if your first answer is recognition, validation, achievement, accolades, go deeper. What do you actually like? What do you want? Not what you think you should want. What do you want? And if you can't answer that question, you're not alone. Because when you've spent years, maybe decades, adapting, performing, contorting yourself for results, you lose access to your own desires. You've been so focused on being what everyone else needs that you forgot there's a real person underneath. That's identity erasure. And it's one of the hidden costs of burnout from self-betrayal. Now let me go back to my client with the chronic pain. Here's what was actually happening. She didn't have a mattress problem. She didn't have a pain management problem. She had an alignment problem. Her body was screaming, this life doesn't honor you. And she kept trying to solve it physically. No mattress, medication, physical therapy, but the pain wasn't reducing because she was solving the wrong problem. Your body knows before your mind does. When you're living out of alignment, when you're constantly betraying yourself, your body rebels. Lower back pain, neck tension, migraines, autoimmune flares, chronic fatigue. These aren't just symptoms of being tired. They're symptoms of self-abandonment. And here's what most people miss. You can't rest your way out of this. You can take a vacation. You can sleep 8 hours. You can get a massage. And you'll still wake up exhausted, still in pain, still depleted. Because the problem isn't physical labor. It's energetic betrayal. And that requires a different kind of healing. Let me explain why self-betrayal is more exhausting than any workload. Physical labor exhausts your body. You work a 14-hour day, your body is tired, you rest and you recover. That's normal. That's how the body works. But self-betrayal exhausts your soul. And your soul doesn't recover with a nap. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you add weight. Every time you stay in a situation that depletes you, you add weight. Every time you silence your own needs to keep the peace, you add weight. And that weight, it compounds. You're not just carrying today's workload. You're carrying years, maybe decades of accumulated self-abandonment. And that is why you can't rest your way out of burnout. Because you're not tired from working too hard. You're exhausted from living against yourself. Think about it. You can rest from physical work, but you can't rest from being out of alignment. You can recover from a long day, but you can't recover from a life that doesn't honor you. Not until you stop betraying yourself. Now, identity erasure and physical rebellion, they're two of the biggest blind spots, but there are others. Let me name them quickly, because if you're burned out from self-betrayal, you're probably experiencing more than one of these. Your decision-making is compromised. You can't think clearly anymore. Simple choices feel overwhelming. You say yes to opportunities you normally see right through. Because burnout doesn't just drain your energy, it corrupts your judgment. Your relationships are suffering. You're snapping at the people you love. You can't be present and you're emotionally unavailable. Not because you don't care, but because you have nothing left to give. The people you love are getting the leftovers of you. You're training people to disrespect you. The more you abandon yourself, the more others abandon you too. Clients push your boundaries. Family expects you to sacrifice. Friends take without giving back. Because your self-betrayal is teaching that you don't matter. And you're stealing from your future self. This isn't just about today's exhaustion. You're creating patterns that will take years to unwind. Future you is paying your self-abandonment. So here's how you know if this is happening to you. You're achieving, but it feels empty. You hit the goals, you get the recognition, and you feel nothing. Your body is breaking down. Despite doing everything right, despite rest, despite all the physical solutions, the pain, the exhaustion, the illness, it's not reducing. You don't know what you actually want. When someone asks, what do you want? You freeze. Because you've been performing so long, you don't have access to your own desires anymore. You can't access joy. Even when good things happen, you can't feel them. You're numb, disconnected, going through the motions. You don't recognize yourself. You look at your life, your choices, your behavior, and you think, who is this person? If any of these resonate, you're not burned out from overwork. You're burned out from self-betrayal. So here's the shift. Stop treating burnout like a work problem. Start treating it like an alignment problem. You don't need more rest. You need to stop abandoning yourself. You don't need a vacation. You need boundaries. You don't need to quit your job. You need to rebuild your foundation. Remember when we talked about boundaries in past videos? This is why they matter. No boundaries equal constant self-betrayal, and constant self-betrayal equals burnout. And remember the sovereign structure in past videos? Your floors, your walls, your ceilings? That foundation isn't optional. Because without it, you're constantly living out of alignment. And that is what burns you out. Your burnout isn't asking you to quit everything. It's asking you to stop betraying yourself. It's asking you to honor your boundaries, to rebuild your foundation, to live in alignment with who you actually are. And when you do that, when you stop abandoning yourself, the burnout doesn't just reduce, it transforms. Because you're no longer carrying the weight of self-betrayal. You're finally living a life that honors you. If this is resonating with you, I want to invite you into two things. First, join the free 21-day Season of Self-Love Challenge. In this challenge, we work on boundaries, foundation, stopping the patterns of self-abandonment, self-care, and self-love. And it's free. I'll leave the link in the description. Second, if you're ready for deeper support, if you're done betraying yourself and you want a community of women who are doing the work together, join Awakened and Rising. It's my $30 a month membership for high achieving women who are ready to stop performing and start remembering who they are. Every week we come together and we work on our boundaries, our foundation, our alignment, our strategic work, because burnout doesn't heal in isolation. It heals when you're surrounded by women who see you, who get it, who are choosing themselves as well. The link will also be in the description. But whether you join or not, I need you to hear this. Your burnout is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to address. Not by working less, but by living more aligned. Not by quitting everything, but by honoring yourself. You don't need to rest from the work. You need to stop betraying yourself. And that changes everything. If this helped you, hit subscribe. I post a new video every Thursday. And if you know another woman who's burned out and thinks it's just about the hours, send this to her. Because the truth is, burnout isn't about working too hard. It's about living too far from yourself.